Okay, this is a test of seeing if this video is going to work right. We're going to talk about order of operations today, which is, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Pemdas is the rules that we follow when doing mathematics. You probably learned this in 7th grade or 6th grade. Parentheses, then exponents, then we multiply or divide, then we add or subtract. Now, most people think that you're going to multiply before you divide because m comes before d. You're going to multiply before you divide, and that is actually not true. You're actually going to do, these two are actually linked because multiplication to division are actually the same thing, and I can prove it to you pretty easily. If I take, let's say 4, and I multiply that by a half, and then I take 4 and I divide it by 2, I actually get the exact same answer, which is 2. Why is that true? Because division is actually just multiplication by the reciprocal. Division is multiplication by the reciprocal. Now, if division is multiplication by the reciprocal, then they're actually the same thing. So multiplication and division are actually tied. We say they're tied. Because which one comes first? Well, whichever one comes first in the problem. So for example, if I had, let's say 6 times 2 plus 3 divided by 1, in this case, I have multiplication and I have division. I would do the multiplication first because it comes first in the problem. If I had 6 divided by 2 plus 3 times 1, then I would actually divide first and then multiply second. All right? Multiplication and division are actually tied. And how do you know which one comes first? Well, whichever one comes first in the problem is which one you do first. Now, the same thing goes for addition and subtraction. Adding and subtracting are actually tied again because addition and subtraction are actually the same thing also. And I can prove it to you just very easily. 3 plus 2, sorry, 3 minus 2 and 3 plus a negative 2 give you the same thing. 3 minus 2 is 1. 3 plus a negative 2 is also 1. Because subtraction is actually just adding the opposite. You're going to learn that in a later lesson. But since subtraction is just addition also, how can addition come before subtraction? The answer is it can't. They're actually the same thing. Subtraction is just adding with negatives. So these are actually tied also. And so adding and subtraction are also tied. So the question then is, which one do I do first? Well, if I have adding and I have subtracting, in this problem I would do addition first because it comes first in the problem. In this problem, I would do the subtraction first because it comes first in the problem. So adding and subtracting are tied, multiplication and division are tied. All right? That's the basic concept of what we're going to do here. So now let's do a couple examples. So, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We are going to, and on your notes, you need to circle M and D and A and S. And we circle them because they're actually tied. These are tied. So when I have multiplication and division, I do whichever one came first. When I have adding and subtracting, I do whichever one came first. Okay? Always number the problem first and do one step at a time. If you're going to make a dumb mistake in order of operations, and it's a very easy lesson, but if you're going to make a mistake, it's because you're going to go fast and you're going to try to do things in your head. If you want to get this right on the very first try, be very systematic with what you're doing, do one step at a time, and number your problem. So here's what we're going to do. Following that, we have division, we have an exponent, and we have addition. Following PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. Which of those am I going to do first? Well, I'm going to do the exponent first. So I'm going to put a 1 there. Then I'm going to do, I had exponents. Now, do I have any multiplication or division? Yes, I have a division, so I'm going to put a 2 there. Then I keep going. Do I have any more multiplication and division? No. Then I go to adding, subtracting. Do I have any adding or subtracting? Yes. I put a 3 there. All right, so that means I'm going to do the exponent first, I'm going to do the division second, and the addition last. So let's do that. 3 squared, first of all, 3 squared is not 6, and if you say that, you're going to get it wrong. 3 squared is 3 times 3, so this becomes 9. Everything else comes straight down. Keep things in a line and your life's going to be a lot easier. So that stays there, the 27 comes down, the addition sign comes down, and the 4 comes down. Then you do the second step. You already did the division. The 3 squared became 9. You do the second step. The division is second. What's touching right now? The 27 and the 9, so you're going to divide those. 27 divided by 9 is 3. That comes straight down. The addition comes straight down, and the 4 comes straight down. And then you do your last step. 3 plus 4 is 7, and your final answer is 7. Okay? That's an example of PEMDAS, and like I said, the key is this. Always number your problem first and do one step at a time. So let's do another example. 9 times 4 over 3 parentheses 4 plus 2. This is a little bit harder of a problem. But before we get into this problem, I want to talk about this fraction bar. This fraction bar means divide. And that fraction bar is over the whole thing. For example, if I had, let's say, 9 times 4 over 2, and then I had 9 over 2, let's put a plus here. So 9 plus 4 over 2, and 9 over 2 plus 4, these two problems will not give you the same answer. This fraction bar is over everything, so everything is being divided by 2. So in a sense, this is, I call these invisible parentheses. When you see a fraction bar, there's like invisible parentheses there. Fraction bars over the whole thing, so there's invisible parentheses there. In this case, the dividing is not happening to the 4 because the fraction bar is not over the 4. So you're just going to divide 9 by 2. You're not going to divide the 4 by 2. I hope that makes sense. When the fraction bar is over the whole thing, you have to do the entire top first, the entire bottom second. You're going to divide last. When you see a big long fraction bar like this, this is the last thing you do. You're going to divide last. Okay? So just like before, we're going to label our steps. We're going to follow PEMDAS. So first thing we're going to do is parentheses. Do I have any parentheses? I do. And as you get better at order of operations, you'll start realizing you can do the top or the bottom first. It doesn't really make a difference. But just to keep things organized, let's go ahead and do the parentheses first. So I'm going to do that first. Then I'm going to multiply second. Now I actually could multiply here second, but it really doesn't matter since I'm going to divide last. Okay? And then I'm going to do this division third. I'm sorry, this multiplication third. So parentheses first, then multiplication. I could actually do either one first. It doesn't make a difference as long as I divide last. So division is going to be fourth. Okay? So let's go through that. So 9 times 4 over 3 parentheses 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay? Go ahead and do the next step. Multiply here. You can go ahead and do both multiplications at the same time. You can do that, but I would probably recommend against it until you get a lot better. 3 times 6, I'm going to go ahead and do my step 2. 3 times 6 is 18. Leave the top alone. That is going to become 9 times 4 is 36 over 18. And then, like I said, step 4 is to do the division last. 36 divided by 18 is 2. Now, on a side note, this is actually my answer. My answer is 2. But on a side note, when you got down to this step right here, you actually could have, instead of started multiplying and all that, you could have started dividing first. Okay? So watch what you could have done. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so this becomes 1, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So and then I have a 3 on the top and a 3 on the bottom, so I can knock those off, and I'm left with 2 over 1, which is 2. It's another way of doing the exact same thing. So let's see another example. So I have 2/3 of 9 plus 12 minus 2 to the third power. Now, before we get started, let me talk about fractions. In my class, people tell me all the time students don't understand fractions, and I would tell them you're not teaching them the right way. When I see a fraction, such as 1/2, when I say 1/2 times 6, what I want you to do is I want you to think of fractions as the top or the numerator is multiplication and the bottom is division. So when you see 1/2 of 6, what your brain wants to see is you're going to take 6, you're going to divide it by 2, and then you're going to multiply it by 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3, times 1 is 3. So when you see a fraction bar, I want you to think multiplication on the top, dividing on the bottom. So for example, if I had 2/3 of 6, okay, what would that mean? That means I'm going to divide by 3, and I'm going to multiply by 2. So let's try that. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. So 2/3 of 6 is 4. I cannot stress to you enough, if you can start thinking of fractions this way, they actually become a lot easier. All right, I'm going to go ahead and erase that. So now let's do the problem. So first step, label it. Well, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally means parentheses first. That's first. Parentheses, then exponents. Do I have any exponents here? Yes. So this is second. Then do I have any multiplication or division? I do have multiplication because a number next to a parentheses means multiply. Right here, this means times. So that's the thing I'm going to do third. All right? I'm going to multiply the fraction third, and then I'm going to add last. Okay? So first thing, parentheses. Second thing, do the exponent. Third thing, do the multiplication. Fourth thing, do the subtraction. One step at a time. Okay, 9 plus 12 is 21. Everything else comes straight down. You can leave this in parentheses. It's not going to hurt it. 2/3 comes straight down. Minus sign comes straight down. 2 to the third comes straight down. Next step, do my exponent. Okay, 2 to the third is 8, not 6. 21 comes straight down. 2/3 comes straight down. Okay? Next step, do the fraction. 2/3 of 21. All right. So remember what I just taught you a minute ago. This means multiply. This means divide. So let's do that. 21, I've got two options here. I can do 21 times 2, then divide by 3, or I can do 21 divided by 3, and then times 2. I would recommend you always divide first, because you always end up with a smaller number. 21 divided by 3 is 7, and 7 times 2 is 14. Minus 8. Okay? Bring those together. 14 minus 8 is 6. And there you have it. The answer is 6. All right? What's the key here? Make sure you know what to do with fractions. All right, next problem. Now we have, if x is equal to 3, y is equal to 4, and z is equal to 5, what is x plus 3y squared? Well, in this case, all you're going to do first is you're going to fill in the numbers for the letters. So this becomes 3 plus 3 times y is 4, so it's 4 squared. Write that first and then label your problem. No parentheses, go to my exponents. That's going to be first, and I'm going to circle it so it doesn't look like a power. Then do I have any multiplication or division? Yes, so that's second. And then I would do my my addition third. All right, this is a very easy problem. So I'm going to do 4 squared first. 4 squared is 16, not 8. Don't fall for that. Everything else comes straight down, just like I said. 3 times 16, if you know your math, that's 48. Everything else comes straight down. 48 plus 3 is 51, and that's my answer, 51. All right, but notice once again, even when it's easy, label the problem first and then do the math. All right, let's do the next one. Going back up here, X is 3, Y is 4, Z is 5. So first thing I'm going to do is fill in the blanks. 5 times 3 plus 3 over 2 times 5 minus 1. Okay? Please forgive me on anything that you can't read really well. I apologize. So first step, label it. Well, I have a fraction bar. Remember, when I have a fraction bar, it's like invisible parentheses around the top and the bottom. So I'm going to do the entire top first, get an answer, do the entire bottom second, get an answer, and I'm going to divide last. Don't forget, that's division. Okay? That's division right there. All right, so what would I do first? Well, I would do that first, multiply, because it's on the top. Then I would do the entire top first because this is all in a parentheses. So I would do this second, then I would do this third, and then I would do this fourth. And then I'm not done because I actually have one more step, which is to divide at the end. That's going to be fifth. Okay? Hope that makes sense. So let's go through this problem. First step, do 5 times 3, 15. Write the 15 plus the 3 over 2 parentheses 5 minus 1. Okay? Do the next step. 15 plus 3. Step 2 means multiply, so I get 18 here. Okay? Leave the bottom alone. One step at a time, even when it's easy like this one. Do the next step. 2 times 5 is 10, so it's 18 over 10 minus 1. One step at a time. Oh, but it's so easy. Yes, but I want you to get it right on the first try. So, next step. 10 minus 1 is 9. Do my division. 18 divided by 9 is 2. And there's my answer. What's hard about this? Let me summarize real quick. Do the entire top first, do the entire bottom second, divide last because the fraction bar is over everything. All right, last problem. All right, so we have, first step is to label it, right? 3 parentheses, 2 times, we're going to have to figure out what y was. Y was 4. Y was 4, so 3 times 2 times 4 plus 1 to the second power, or third power. I believe x was 3, if I'm not mistaken. 3. So 3 parentheses, 2 times 4 plus 3 to the third power. Okay? Label my steps. Well, I got a parenthesis. Now, here's something new. If I have a parenthesis and there's a bunch of things inside the parenthesis, I still follow order of operations inside. So there's a parenthesis here. Inside the parenthesis, I follow order of operations. So I'm going to do the parenthesis first. So this is my first step. The addition is my second step. Then my exponent is my third step. And my multiplication, because remember, a number next to a parenthesis means multiply. This is my fourth step, which is multiplication, right? Okay? Then I just follow the steps. Do my 2 times 4. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1. Leave everything else. Make everything else come straight down. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 to the third. The 3 comes straight down. Do my next step. 8 plus 1 is 9, so I have 3 parentheses 9 to the third. Do my next step, which is the power. 9 to the third. 9 to the third is 9 times 9 times 9, which is, let's see, that's going to be 9 times 9 is 81 times 9 is 729. So it's going to be 3 times 729. Then I'm going to multiply last. 729 times 3. That's going to be a 7, a 2, 6, 7, 8. And that's going to be a 21. 2187. And there you have it. That's the notes for PEMDAS like I said, I know it's probably a pretty easy lesson, but the key to this lesson, let's go back to the star. Remember this the entire time. Follow order of operations. Multiplication and division are tied because they're actually the same thing. Adding and subtracting are tied because they're the same thing. Always number your problem first and do one step at a time, and you should do very well at this. Good luck.